This is Electric Universe Eyes, and today I'm in Mansfield, Texas at a park. A nature park. What is this place called? It's a nature park. Anyway, there's a nice little stock pond with some fish in it. And I'm walking down to this creek down here. So I've been here before and I really wanted to go down there. I saw some rocks I wanted to check out, but just right off the trail heading down in elevation, I just came across some rocks already sticking out of the ground, and I noticed it's limestone. Got some like mollusk shells in there. It's like some calcite crystal. And there we go. Yeah, you can see some cool fossils down in there. So, nice. All right, so I know I got some limestone with some fossils in it. And I'm gonna keep going down here. Oh, hey, look. There's a nice big slab of, another slab of limestone. What I'm looking for is signs of electric fossilization. If you guys have ever heard of a guy named Peter Mungo Jupp, I've been following him for many years now, and I love his work. He's shown evidence of rocks instantly forming with specimens inside that have maintained everything like it was not flash frozen, but flash electrified, flash fossiled, electric fossilization. So anyhow, the whole idea here is in ancient times, when there were some massive storms that we would not want to witness today, there was lots and lots of electricity in the sky and through the ground, and the geology of this planet was largely influenced by these huge storm systems and related electric discharge from all of these storms. So if you could imagine the worst, craziest lightning you've ever seen today as nothing in comparison to what Peter has proposed. And if you've been watching my channel for a while now, that's exactly what I'm proposing. So I'm gonna head down this way if I can make it over this way. There's probably a quarter mile that way. I saw a ton of rocks, but I couldn't get down there. This is the first place I found to be able to get down to this creek without going through lots of brush and poison ivy or oak. You know, that's pretty steep too. I don't think I'm going to try that because I don't see a clear path forward. So I'm gonna make my way back up, see if I can find another way down. So here's the stock pond. I just came from that little trail there. Again, that creek descends down below there is probably a good 30, 40 feet down. So then we got the stock pond here, and directly that way is a big man-made lake called Joe Pool Lake, and it feeds through this creek here, and this creek is called Walnut Creek. So it's still hot, even though it's October. It's still hot in Texas. All right, anyway, I try to find my way there. There's a cool little overlook bridge that's built, and at the tip of that is where I see those big rocks. Hey, here's some right here. All right, we're getting somewhere. Oh yeah. Oh look, this thing's chock full of fossils here. Look at that guy. So it's a bunch of, looks like little shells and mollusks all jumbled together. So unless this was some sort of plant that was in bundles, what I'm seeing here, these look like a bunch of the shells that I find in this area. Looks like all these shells were jumbled together. So could be a lot of things, but I also love to speculate. So I'm all about the catastrophic viewpoint on things. What happened to the dinosaurs? What happened to the ancient cultures that disappeared? And why are there so many crazy stories in this world about different skies, different heavens, and the gods? I think it's definitely connected. So, there's some more fossils. Sea life of some sort. Just some shells. Just looks like this. So, this is, I don't know, I would say that's 10 foot below this surface here. That's about 10 foot as we're going down. So let's keep going. There's another one. This one's kind of loose. I might be able to get this one out. Let's see if I can get some sunlight here. There you go. So it just looks like red sandstone. So in this area, there's just thick red clay everywhere. Just feet and feet of clay. Like this stuff was washed in from a giant flood, or it perhaps was lifted up by a huge hurricane or something and deposited. That's kind of my standing theory for the weird geology and the changes in Texas. So anyway, see some sunlight there. There you go. Still see some fossilized shells in there. So anyway, see this everywhere. It's not that awesome. Let's keep going. All right, I'm getting close to the creek now. Looks like this is a little man-made trail. Oh, it cooled off a lot getting down this far. Hey, what's this? Just more of that stone. See, but here you go. Does you see how red that is? Look at that. That's coming from this rock here. So that's a red sandstone, but pretty close in color. Interesting. Here, it's just a pile of rocks that are all washed up over here. It's just a bunch of little rocks. Maybe that got washed in from flooding, because you can see all of these trees that are pushed over and washed through here. The flow direction's going this way, which is due west. That looks like a big turd, but it's not. But that's interesting. Look at that. That's cool. Look, it's like a conglomerate of just little bitty pieces of shells and sea life. I like this. I'm gonna keep this. This is nice. Interesting little shapes here. Huh. It's cool. Huh. Almost looks like there might be a layer of flint in there, but look, that's just clay, I think. Let's try to break it. Oh yeah, look at that. That's just straight up hardened clay. But interesting still to look at some of the layering in there. Anyway, thought I saw a shell poking out of that, but it's not. All right. All of these rocks look mostly similar. That looks like straight up concrete. That's man-made stuff right there. So, you know, there's lots of new urban development near this area, so I wouldn't be surprised if some of this stuff got washed in from a construction site or something like that. That's an interesting little piece there. What is that kind of rock here? I don't think that's a... Yeah, that does chip off. Okay. Well, all of these rocks look like the same consistency pretty much. Big giant piece of limestone again. This limestone is not white like it is further south in Texas. This is more of that reddish brownish clay that I see in these parts. And again, where I'm at is kind of in the middle of, I guess it's west of the ancient fault line. There's Dallas-Fort Worth does this weird geological split. Anyway, look at this layering here. Look, actually, if you can see all the way up there, that's just layers and layers of rock. And it looks like at one point in time, it was a flowing mud. I don't know if it looks like it was liquefied at some point. You know, I know that standard geology is going to say that all of this limestone formed over millions of years. Which that's fine, they can keep believing that. And that erosion is what causes some of these features. Again, granted, there is erosion, there's that process in here, but it's not how I think this was originally formed. Look at this whole hillside is just that rock. Huh, looky here. What is that? There's another one of those little circles. Another little circle. Look, there's another one right there. That one's got, it's like a pit with a rounded bulb with a crater in the middle. It's kind of like a little double crater. This is interesting. You know, I look at the shapes and patterns of things. And I always see similarities. And look, this may very well be the remnants of organic plants or I don't know, little organisms that were in the water. Either if this stuff got washed in here or what. Oh, there's a lizard. Oh, okay, you can't see that lizard, can you? That looks like a piece of flint right here. Nope. All right, so here's that structure I was talking about that you can walk out and look. There's some rocks over here that I remember seeing last time I was here. I just didn't get a chance to come down here and check it out. And oh, it's getting hot again. Well, it's definitely mud layers. It was definitely liquefied at some point. Look at this. So now we're getting into the creek itself. These giant rocks here. And this stuff's huge. Some big. Yeah, there's my shoe. A lot of these are buried, so I don't know how big they actually are. But oh, look, there you go. See the whole creek bed's full of them. Full of these big rocks. Let's just see if I can get down here a little bit. I can't stay too long. But I wanted to get down here and look at this stuff. All right. You know, what it would be cool to find is some sort of like quartz veins. But I'm not seeing them. Not seeing any quartz veins over here. I'm not seeing really anything special aside from this limestone. I think limestone's special. Don't be offended, limestone lovers. Yeah, that's cool. So, well, this is interesting. What is this stuff? That's just, okay, so that's just some mud. And you can see these layers here. But look, these layers don't appear to doesn't really look like erosion to me, because look at that. It's almost like it was welded up this way, or maybe perhaps this stuff layered out this way before it got baked. You know, all of these pockets and the way that this stuff is formed, seeing all these little divots here. And then even just the overall rounded shape here. This looks like the layering of mud that when I'm doing an electric discharge experiment in the lab, if this was an experiment result, the way that I would watch this, and again, I've done a lot of these, so I would see the electricity pull something out of the water and start to layer in sections, and then it starts growing up on top, and then the pieces will drop down back into the mud or the water and reabsorb more moisture, and the electricity, when it has built up this far, when it starts to get dry, it will reach back out to the moist layers. So then the electricity fingers will kind of wrap back over this way and then keep etching and layering at the same time. So that's where you get these weird divots of you can imagine fingers, actually electrical fingers, really fast, kind of rotating back and forth. So that's what I see whenever I see these rocks. So I know I'm crazy, but maybe I'm not. Oh, here you go. Found this. Look, yep, look, that's a shell. That's a whole shell. It's not open. And as I recall, I think these shells, when they're closed like that, that means they were formed in place before they died. As I understand it, maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but when something like this dies, the shells open up, because I always find these shells open. But that seems like it was locked in place right there as this thing formed. Here's another interesting thing. Look at this column. It's almost like a tube, and then this piece goes down to this. That looks like a little mollusk shell. And we still got a bunch of these little divots in here. Look, there's some little fossils in there too. Look, that one's sticking out. Interesting. Look at that. That's just mud. That's hardened mud. Big one right here. Should not drop my phone. That would not be good. So I was just over there, and I can't go any further. Got that big rock jutting out. But well, I saw what I came to see. I didn't see much, however, did see a lot of fossils. So it's enough for me. What's this? That's interesting. Is this a fire? I don't know. I don't see any evidence of charcoal or anything. It's a weird patina. It's like a combination of that red clay and the gray, blackish clay mixing together. We got some pretty flowers here. All right. Well, I think that's it, guys. All right, I'll find out what the park name is here, I guess. All right, see ya. I love it. This is a great park. This is a really cool park. There's miles and miles and miles of trails back there, and a couple of stock tanks that you can go fishing back there. Here we go. Elmer W. Oliver Nature Park. Before I go, they've got this cool little area right here with these benches they built, and these look like native rocks. I've got a couple of rocks in my yard bigger than this that have some amazing looking shapes on it, So here's what I always wondered about is the geometric shapes and all of the bubbles and rivulets and everything in these types of rock. And that doesn't look like natural weathering to me. This one may have been sideways when it was created, but again, it's almost got these interesting cross-hatching shapes going on. Same thing with this. Just almost looks like a tortoise shell texture. Pretty cool. And this one's just got a bunch of little divots in it. All right. Okay. Anyway, have I speculated enough for you? Some more shiny sandstone. Look, they built a wall out of the same rocks here. Different types of shapes and textures. You know, if it was really hot and bubbly, I could see where those holes could come from. But again, I've played with electricity too much, and all I see is the formation of these same patterns over and over. Just simply from muddy water with electric discharge. So, let's look at a couple more rocks on the way out here. There we go. These are featured right up front. Same weird patterns on top. All right, that's all she wrote. All right, see you later.